374 स्थानों पर आरंभ होंगे। उनमें से कहीं भी हमको देखना होगा तो खाली नाम की स्पेलिंग डालनी है। सूरत में 7 स्थानों पर ये आयोजन होगा। लखनऊ में 1 स्थान पर यह आयोजन अभी तक निश्चित हो गया है। दिल्ली में 14 स्थानों पर यह आयोजन निश्चित हो गए और इस प्रकार अलग अलग यूएसए में देखेंगे तो यूएसए में भी 8 स्थानों पर हो चुके हैं। यूके में भी अभी शायद रजिस्ट्रेशन आ चुका है। 15 स्थानों पर यूके में भी हो चुके। तो इस प्रकार से अलग अलग देशों में, शहरों में होने वाले सब आयोजन हम लोगों को यहाँ पर दिखाई देंगे। हम ये आयोजन कैसे कर सकते हैं? आपको बस ये निश्चय करना है कि हम 10 लोग मिलकर गीता पाठ करेंगे। आपको ये भी चिंता नहीं करनी कि हम पूरा पाठ कैसे कर पाएंगे। कोई 2 अध्याय का पारायण कर सकता है, कोई 6 अध्याय का पारायण कर सकता है, कोई 12 का, कोई 18 अध्याय का पारायण करे और अंत में गीता जी की आरती करे, इतना अपेक्षित है। वसुदेव सुतं देवम प्रार्थना से आरंभ करना, गीता जी का पारायण जितने अध्याय का कर सकते हैं उतना करना और गीता जी की आरती करना। इतने 3 काम कम से कम करने से यह आयोजन माना जाएगा और 10 लोगों की सहभागिता कम से कम होनी चाहिए। और इसके लिए आपको 18 अध्यायों के ऑडियोज हम प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं और वो 18 अध्याय के ऑडियो आप लैपटॉप पे, टीवी पर, मोबाइल पर बजाकर साथ में बैठकर सब लोग मिलकर वो आयोजन कर सकते हैं। इस समय store.learngeeta.com पर 5% से 20% तक की पुस्तकों पर छूट भी दी गई है गीता जयंती के निमित्त। तो आप वो पुस्तकें भी मंगाकर स्टोर से अपने घर में इसका आयोजन कर सकते हैं, वरना प्रिंट आउट भी learngeeta.com पे जाकर 18 अध्याय के प्रिंट आउट भी निकालकर उसका उपयोग कर सकते हैं। अगर हम ये आयोजन करना चाहते हैं तो ऐड योर इवेंट पर जाना है और यहाँ पर 4 हेल्पलाइन नंबर भी दिए हैं जिन पर कॉल करके इस इवेंट की और भी जो मालूमात हमको करनी है वो कर सकते हैं। हम लोग इसमें कई प्रकार के उपक्रम कर सकते हैं। हम गीता जी का सामूहिक पारायण करेंगे, गीता जी की यात्रा निकाल सकते हैं, अपने क्षेत्र में उसकी शोभा यात्रा सुंदर निकाल सकते हैं। कौन बनेगा गीता ज्ञानपति प्रतियोगिता कर सकते हैं। रंग भरो प्रतियोगिता स्कूलों में अपने आसपास के क्षेत्रों के बच्चों के लिए कर सकते हैं। गीता जी पर 3 से 4 मिनट का नाट्य मंचन कर सकते हैं। गीता जी का चिंतन हम प्रस्तुत कर सकते हैं। गीता जी के कंठस्थ किरण किए हुए साधकों का सम्मान हम उन कार्यक्रमों में कर सकते हैं और अन्य भी कोई गीता से जुड़ा उपक्रम हम करना चाहें तो कर सकते हैं। और इसके लिए हम लोग आपको बहुत सारा मटेरियल भी प्रोवाइड कर रहे हैं। सुमधुर गीता संगीत में ऑडियो, पीडीएफ, गीता ज्ञान प्रतियोगिता के प्रश्नावली, चित्र, गीता परिवार के कल्याण में संबोधन, जो संबोधन आप कहना चाहेंगे उसका हम स्क्रिप्ट आपको सब भाषाओं में दे देंगे और सभी भाषाओं में वो स्क्रिप्ट आप पढ़कर दिखा सकते हैं, वरना उसका वीडियो भी हम प्रोवाइड करेंगे, वो वीडियो भी आप प्ले कर सकते हैं। और इस आयोजन के बैनर डिजाइन भी जो आपको बनाने हैं वो भी आप दे सकते हैं। तो ये आप पंजीकरण जब करके आवेदन करेंगे उसके कुछ ही घंटों में अप्रूव हो जाएगा और जब ये अप्रूव हो जाएगा तब आप यहाँ पर लॉग इन करके अपने आयोजन को देख सकते हैं। जब ये अप्रूव होगा तो यहाँ जितने इवेंट्स रजिस्टर हुए हैं उन सारे इवेंट्स को आप व्हाट्सएप के माध्यम से शेयर कर सकते हैं, फेसबुक के माध्यम से शेयर कर सकते हैं, ट्विटर के माध्यम से, एक्स के माध्यम से शेयर कर सकते हैं और ये लिंक कॉपी करके आप व्हाट्सएप पे शेयर कर सकते हैं। और जितने लोगों को आप ये लिंक शेयर करेंगे वो यहाँ पर जब ज्वाइन करेंगे तो आपके इवेंट पेज पर, ऑर्गेनाइजर पेज पर वो उन लोगों की सूची भी आपको दिखा देगा। और जिस समय आप ये आयोजन का लॉगिन अपने नंबर से करेंगे, जब अप्रूव होगा उसके बाद ये लॉगिन चलेगा। इंटरनेशनल नंबर के लिए ईमेल डालना पड़ेगा और इंडियन नंबर के लिए मोबाइल डालने से काम हो जाएगा। ओटीपी डालने के बाद हमको इस कार्यक्रम से संबंधित सारी जानकारी मिल जाएगी, हमको अपना कार्यक्रम दिख जाएगा। अब हमको इस आयोजन से संबंधित मटेरियल्स यहाँ पे डाउनलोड करना है तो मटेरियल टैब दिया है, तो हम बैकड्रॉप डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। किसी भी भाषा का बैकड्रॉप हमको डाउनलोड करना है, डाउनलोड हो जाएगा। उसमें अपनी सूचनाएं भरकर हम यहाँ पर पीडीएफ में अगर करेंगे तो वो उन सूचनाओं के साथ हमको वो पीडीएफ डाउनलोड हो जाएगा और हमको अवेलेबल हो जाएगा। उसका प्रिंट निकालकर हम बैनर बनवा के सुंदर लगा सकते हैं, हम उसको व्हाट्सएप पे भेज सकते हैं। इसकी ऑडियोज हमको चाहिए तो 18 अध्याय के ऑडियोज यहाँ पे उपलब्ध है। 12, 15 2 अध्यायों को मर्ज करके एक ऑडियो उपलब्ध है। 12, 15, 16 3 अध्यायों के मर्ज करके ऑडियो उपलब्ध है और 18 अध्यायों की मर्ज ऑडियो भी उपलब्ध है। क्विज के पीडीएफ भी यहाँ पर उपलब्ध है, अंग्रेजी, हिंदी आदि के अलग अलग क्विज, उसके आंसर कीज ये भी उपलब्ध है। ड्राइंग की पीडीएफ यहाँ उपलब्ध है, 3 प्रकार के कृष्ण अर्जुन के ड्राइंग भी दी है हमने। हनुमान चालीसा के ऑडियो वीडियो भी यहाँ पर उपलब्ध है और भी सामग्री हम इसमें भी बढ़ा रहे हैं और भाषा अनुसार सारी सामग्री बढ़ा रहे हैं, ये भी यहाँ पर उपलब्ध रहेगी। ट्रेलर टैब दिया है तो हम बैकड्रॉप डाउनलोड कर सकते हैं। किसी भी भाषा का बैकड्रॉप हमको डाउनलोड करना है, डाउनलोड हो जाएगा। उसमें अपनी सूचनाएं भरकर हम यहाँ पर पीडीएफ में अगर जो लोग हमारे इवेंट को इस स्क्रीन पर देखेंगे, ये इवेंट 2 प्रकार से रजिस्टर किया जा सकता है। या तो प्राइवेट इवेंट कर सकते हैं कि हम बाहर के लोगों को सम्मिलित नहीं करना चाहते, तो वो इवेंट यहाँ पर नहीं दिखाई देगा। इवेंट का काउंट तो हो जाएगा लेकिन वो यहाँ पर पब्लिकली नहीं दिखाई देगा। लेकिन अगर वो इवेंट आप पब्लिक करेंगे तो वो यहाँ दिखाई देगा और बाहर से आने वाले लोग उसमें रजिस्ट्रेशन कर सकेंगे। अभी तक जिन्होंने रजिस्टर किया है उनके नाम, नंबर भी हमको दिख जाएंगे। ये बटन दबाने से सीधा उनको कॉल हो जाएगा, ये बटन दबाने से उनको व्हाट्सएप मैसेज हो जाएगा। तो हम जितने प्रतिभागियों ने हमारे इवेंट में जाके ज्वाइन रजिस्टर किया है उतने प्रतिभागियों की सूची मिल जाएगी, तो ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को हम इसमें यहाँ पर रजिस्ट्रेशन भी करा सकेंगे। इसके अतिरिक्त हम लोगों को ऑनलाइन इवेंट देखना होगा या और भी इवेंट देखने होंगे तो हम लोग उसको यहाँ पर देख सकेंगे, और रोज के हो रहे पारायण में भी हम लोग यहाँ से सम्मिलित हो सकेंगे। तो हम लोगों के लिए ये बड़ा सुंदर अवसर है कि हम लोग इस अवसर का पूरा लाभ उठाएं और इसका आयोजन बन जाए। ऑनलाइन इवेंट्स में यहाँ सारे ऑनलाइन की सूची दिख रही है यहाँ।
श्री कृष्ण भैया।
जय श्री कृष्ण।
वेलकम भैया।
Sorry, there was some technical issue. This got delayed. Sorry for all that. Let us start quickly now. Last time we had covered, we are discussing Sankhya Yoga, second Adhyaya Bhagavad-Gītā. Last time we had done up to slok number 53. 53 was Shruti Vipratipanna yada sthāsyati niṣcala samadhavacala buddhis tada yogamavapsasi. So to continue, now Arjuna is definitely knowing that Nishkam Karma Yoga and being equanimous in all our actions is a must. Now he has some questions which he is asking in the 54th slok. Arjuna vacha Siddha prajnasya ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava stidadhi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. Arjuna's question is, Siddha prajna, this person who has steadfast intellect, who has steadfast wisdom, ka is what? Bhasha. Bhasha means his behavior, his conduct. Samadhistasya, of one situated in Samadhi, trance. Sthitadhi, the man with steadfast wisdom is Sthitadhi. Kim is what? Prabhasheta, speaks. Kim, how? Asita, to sit. Vrajeta is walk. So all in all, the question of Arjuna is, this person who is Siddha Prajna, what is the trademark of that person? What is the trademark of this person who is having this steadfast wisdom, who has realized the God with his steadfast attitude? How does such a man of steadfast wisdom, how does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? So there are all the questions that are coming into his mind. How is this person different than a common man? See, after hearing the Lord talking so much about the process of entering Nishkam Karma and intellect, which has transcended all dilemmas and confusion, now Arjuna is keen to know the characteristics of such a person. He has understood the importance of having Nishkam Karma and having steadfast wisdom, but he wants to know the characteristics of such person. So he is very curious to know the distinguishing features of such a person whose intellect is in perfect equipoise and established firmly in the Supreme Parabrahma. See, Arjuna has grasped this much, definitely, that no one can stay without doing any karma, without doing any action. Because even if you relinquish everything and go and reside in any corner of the world, you will still have to eat, isn't it? You will still have to drink, you will still have to sleep. You will have to do some action to obtain the food. And in that process, you will have to interact with some people. Even if you don't know them, you will have to interact with them, isn't it? And here is the question that comes. While interacting with all sorts of people with diverse nature and temperament, if your intellect is not equanimous, then it will keep you getting agitated. You will get agitated. Discussing, dealing with different people with different temperament, different nature. If someone verbally abuses you, you will get angry. And if someone praises you, you will get happy, you will get elated. If someone offers you quick ways of getting rich, aisa kar do, you will get a lot of money. Greed will push you further down. You will become more and more greedy. The Lord is putting it so clearly and firmly that live among all, but have nothing expected from them. That is the steadfastness of your wisdom. Live among all, but have nothing expected from them. Be unrelated. Therefore, perform your actions desirelessly. No desire. Such individuals are perfectly geared up to live in this world because they fearlessly perform all their actions without worrying whether they will fail or they will succeed, because their sights are not on the result. Their karma is nishkam. Only when you are blinded with ambitions can there arise the possibility of making some mistake or going wrong. And when you become careless, mistakes become inevitable. One who is established in wisdom of equanimous intellect is neither excited nor fearful. He is unaffected by success and failure. So no wonder all this has evoked intense curiosity in Arjuna's mind. He is asking Lord Krishna, "O Keshava, what are the characteristics of a person who has attained Samadhi?" He has used the word Samadhi. You see, Arjuna has used the word Samadhi. Now you must note that nowhere in the above shlokas, Sri Krishna has used the word Samadhi. He has talked about intellect being equipoise, but has never used the word Samadhi. But Arjuna is specifically using the word Samadhi. This only reflects that Arjuna has intelligently deducted 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, because he knows that when intellect is in perfect equipoise, with no doubts, no confusion, when the intellect has become steeled and firmly established in the ultimate truth, this is nothing but the state of Samadhi. Samadhi is no different than this. So despite eyes being open, the person performing all sorts of actions, he or she is actually in the state of Samadhi. That is the direction Arjuna has drawn. See, Arjuna's curiosity is filled up, rather fired up, because until now he has heard that either you are in the state of Samadhi or you are performing karma. Either you are in Samadhi, in trance, or you are performing karma. This is the first time that he has heard that it is possible to perform karma while being in Samadhi. Strange. Doing karma and still being in Samadhi. This is incredible, stupendous revelation in Bhagavad-Gītā, that you can perform your karma and still be in Samadhi. This is a towering height of knowledge from Bhagavad-Gītā. Simply unparalleled. Nowhere you will get this, that you perform karma and at the same time you are in the state of Samadhi. The Lord is saying that, in fact, only such a human being who, having attained Samadhi, performs actions can be called as a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Hence, the inquisitive Arjuna wants to know what such a person looks like. Does he have two horns on his head or what? How does it look different than other people? In society, if we move around, how to identify such a person? That he is a person with steadfast wisdom. He is a Siddha Prajna. How to identify? How to know? How does he speak? How does he sit? How does he walk? How is this all possible? Because either one performs karma or remains in the state of Samadhi. How this guy is doing both at the same time? He is performing action and he is in the Samadhi as well. So how is that possible? Now let us see what Krishna replies to Arjuna's question. Paramatma says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmanat tushtas prajnastadochyate. Prajahati. Jahati is to kill, to remove, to eliminate, to finish. Paramatma is doing a step further. Prajahati. Remove it from the root. Remove it from the root. Yada, when. Kaman, the desires. Sarvan, all. Mano agatan, entering your mind. Atmana, by the purified mind. Tushta, satisfied. So the prajna, that person with steadfast wisdom, tada, at that time, uchyate, is said. So Krishna is replying to Arjuna's question, saying that when a man discards all his desires and removes every desire entering the mind from the root itself, kaman sarvan mano agatan prajahati. Finish right from root. And is self-satisfied in own self. He is satisfied by himself within himself. Then such a person is said to be stable in wisdom. He is a Sthita Prajna. The intellect is content after knowing one's real identity as being Atma. The I got reflected into the intellect, and as a consequence, the intellect wanted to know who or what give the ability to think. And finally, it realizes that it is none other than the Supreme Chaitanya that is giving him the authority to think. That is the Supreme Chaitanya. That means Supreme Chaitanya is not separate from itself. That is, I am the Supreme Chaitanya. I am Parabrahma. This is the conclusion drawn by the intellect when it tries to find who this I is. From where do I get this thinking power? Let us try to understand this phenomena with a small example. Imagine there is an earthen clay pot that is being continuously filled with water. The pot has 5 holes in it, and the water is flowing out from those 5 holes through 5 different canals. Sunlight is falling on the pot. Sunlight is falling on the water present in the pot, and sunlight is also falling on the stream, water jet streams that are going from the pot. It is also falling on the canals where the water is getting stored. So in short, the sunlight is everywhere. It is just within the water in the pot that it is seen as a round reflection because the pot is round. Whereas elsewhere, it is seen as dispersed light. Now let us bring this example to our day-to-day life, to the reality. The earthen pot is our body. The 5 holes are our jnanendriyas, senses of perception, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The 5 canals are the 5 sense objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, with which the senses interact. Ears interact with the Shabda, skin interact with the Sparsha, all that we know, the pair of senses and sense objects. So the water in the pot is the mind. Just as the sunlight permeates the pot, water canals, likewise the light of Supreme Parabrahma, it permeates your body, your mind, your senses, and your sense objects. And of course the intellect. And just as the water in the pot had reflection of the actual sun, the reflection of Supreme Parabrahma is in your mind. The intellect is what you call as I. But that I actually is a reflection of Paramatma himself. The intellect has drawn that from the Supreme Parabrahma, the reflection of Paramatma in the mind, and the intellect has drawn that I from the mind, which is Supreme Parabrahma himself. Now further examples Paramatma is going to give about this person who is having Siddha Prajna, who is having this steadfast wisdom. Slok number 56. Dukkeshvunadvigramana sukheshu vigataspruhaha vitaragavayakrodhas titadhir muniruchyate. Paramatma says, this Siddha Prajna, Dukkeshvunadvigramana sukheshu vigataspruhaha vitaragavayakrodhas titadhir muniruchyate. Anudvigramana, without getting agitated. Vigataspruha, Vigat is to give up, relinquish. Spruha is kamana, desire, without being interested. Vita is to give up. Sthitadhi, whose mind is steady. Muni is the sage, who is called as this Sthitadhi. So Paramatma says, not agitated by grief or hankering after the pleasure. This is the Prajna people. They are free from lust, fear, and anger. Dukkeshvunadvigramana sukheshu vigataspruha vitaragabhayakrodhas stitadhir muniruchyate. Now, according to Bhagavad-Gītā, the very texture of our life is one of duality. This is the texture of human life, or for that matter, for anybody's life. Pain and pleasure, success and failure, birth and death. But most of us want to isolate pleasure and take the pleasure home and keep it on our table, pleasure, and throw the pain out of window. We don't want pain, we want pleasure. Decorate it on the table in our room. This has been the hope of every ambitious person, that I want only the pleasure, I don't want pain. But up to this day, no one has succeeded in this, to have only pleasure and no pain. If you go after pleasure, honesty demands that you cannot complain when you come across the pain. If you do not want pain, then don't go after the pleasure. As simple as that. Don't run after the pleasure if you don't want pain. For common human beings, this experience of even-mindedness is not possible, because mind behavior is caused and controlled by our karma samskar. What karmas we have done in this life up till now, and what karmas we have done in our previous lives, they are our karma samskar. We discussed it many times. That whatever karma we do, it leaves an imprint in 3 baggages which we carry to our next life. Sattvic baggage, Rajasic baggage, and Tamasi. These 3 baggages are the ones which we carry to our next life, and they form our samskar. If in this life we have done more of Sattvic karma, next life our samskar will be Sattvic. Similarly for Rajasic and Tamasi. So the usual world experience of pleasure and pain are felt owing to our ego, which means believing that we are this body, we are this mind, and we are the senses. It is this ignorance, the lack of knowing our real self, which exposes us to the pleasure and pain, anger and fear, all sorts of things. A man detached and disciplined who has experienced Samadhi, he knows his real self. So the Prajna, he knows his real self. And he is untouched by these experiences caused by these dualities of world, pain and pleasure and all sorts of things. And therefore he is even-minded and he is balanced. Such a man, after coming out of Samadhi, conducts his worldly duties more efficiently in a detached manner. Because it has become his habit now. Having spent so much of time in Samadhi, even when he comes out of Samadhi, his behavior is still as if he is in Samadhi. Such a person is called Sthaprajna, the wise. But the question is, this all sounds very good to ears, very ideal. But do such people really exist? Who are really Sthaprajna? They don't get agitated by grief. They don't hanker after pleasure. They live free from lust and fear and anger. Do such people really live in this world? A small story about Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. You know, Bal Gangadhar Tilak used to publish a newspaper, Kesari. It is getting published even now from Pune. The circulation is not much now. But those days, when Tilak was the owner and the editor of the newspaper, it was a very popular newspaper, Kesari from Pune. And he started the newspaper for the purpose of awakening common people against the British rule. His famous sentence, which is well known even till today, is, "Freedom is my birthright and I will have it come what may." Janma Siddhadhikar. One day, Tilak ji was writing an editorial for his Kesari newspaper in his veranda of his Kesariwada, the place where he used to live. It is still there, Kesariwada. And a villager entered that veranda where he was writing and requested him that he wanted to speak to Tilak ji about some problems of his village. There are 2 groups of people, they are fighting on some tricky issues here and there. So he wanted Tilak ji's help. That for that reason, he had come to meet Tilak ji. Tilak ji said, "Let me finish this editorial. I have to send it for publication. Then we can definitely speak. Give me just 10-15 minutes." The villager said, "No problem, Dada. My bus is in the evening. I have ample of time. I will wait here till evening. No problem. I will just wait. You complete your work." Tilak ji again started writing. After a couple of minutes, a man came from inside the house. And he said, Dada, all preparations are done and now we are all waiting for you. Tilakji replied to that person who came from inside the house that just another 10 minutes, I will come, just wait for 10-15 minutes. The visitor thought that the lunch has been served inside and all are waiting for Tilakji to join the lunch. So he said, Dada, please have your lunch. All are waiting for you. I will wait here. I told you I have sufficient time. My bus is in the evening. I will wait here. Tilak said, oh no, they are not waiting for lunch. Actually, my elder son passed away this morning due to plague. All preparations are complete now to take him to the crematorium and I have to go with them. But okay, what is the problem you had with your village? Tell me. We can discuss that and I will come to your village also next time. That visitor was speechless. He was in tears. He said, why are you crying? So many people have died in Pune because of plague in recent times. Almost every house has lost some or the other member of his family. I have also lost one member of my family. Why are you crying for that? I will definitely come and solve your problem in your village next week. We'll discuss and sort out your problems. Please rest assured, nothing will be left out. I will definitely solve your problem. Don't worry at all. Now, is it not Sita Prajna? The perfect example of Sita Prajna. After losing his son, whose dead body is lying in the house, he was performing his duty of writing the editorial for his newspaper. Because public awakening, I have to awake the public from British rule, they should get freedom. That duty I must perform. And then he is meeting the guest also who has come from the village to solve his problem. Siddha Prajna is like this. Siddha Prajna is like this. Not agitated by grief and not running after pleasure. Performing his duty selflessly without expecting any return reward. If we look around today, probably we may find some Siddha Prajna even today. But we need to find out and keep our eyes open. If we find some such person in today's life, in our day-to-day life, we should run after him and try to understand from him how he has acquired this. How he has acquired this steadfastness of wisdom. How he has started living Gita in his day-to-day life. So these are the characteristics of Siddha Prajna. Paramatma has explained to Arjuna. Let us proceed on to slok number 57. Yas sarvatra navisnehas tattat prapya shubha shubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. This phrase has come again and again. Tasya prajna pratishtita. His intellect, his buddhi is well established, is stable. He who remains unattached under all conditions. Yes, sarvatran visnehas tattat prapya shubha shubham. Shubha or ashubh, whatever. So he who remains unattached under all conditions and worldly experiences, he is neither delighted at good nor dejected with evil. And he has no ill will also against anybody. Such a person is stable in wisdom. Lord says, such an individual, no matter where he goes in this material world, stays unattached without any affection for anyone. Why? Why he is not getting, he remains unattached? It is simply because he does not see anyone being separate from him. You will get attached, show affection to someone only if you see that person as being distinct, as different from you. But the one who has firm conviction in the indivisibility of Atma, he sees his own self reflected in all the minds. So how can I be attached to I? He is also I am also I. So how can I get attached to I? So that's why he remains unattached. In his day-to-day life, he remains unattached. This does not mean that the jnani is insensitive or indifferent. Unattached does not mean indifferent or insensitive. He remains like the vast, spacious sky He is not at all affected by whatever he gets, be it auspicious or inauspicious. The one who knows how to drive a car can drive the car anywhere in the world, isn't it? He can drive through the busy roads without any problem. On the other hand, what would you say to a person who says, I will drive only when the road is very clear or there is a curfew in the city? Is it practical? Is it practical? If someone says that his guru does not even look at women because he is unattached. As per Gita, he is unattached. So he even doesn't look at women. You can assume that the guru's sexual desires would surface when he looks at women. He is not unattached. That is not unattached. The one whose immune system is strong can eat a street vada pav and would remain unaffected. On the other hand, those with weak immune system will catch the infection even from the cleanest of the places. The world in which we are living, is it the very clean place? We have to live with whatever pluses and minuses are there in this universe around us. We cannot demand an ideal situation all the time. We cannot demand that I will drive the car only when the road is clear. The road will be having busy traffic. The jnani is indifferent to all these external things of the external world. He is not attached to a specific like or a specific dislike. Now see where we stand. As we discussed many times, this should become our habit to read the message given by Paramatma, by Bhagavan Shri Krishna in Gita, and introspect ourselves to find out, Swadhyay, where do I stand? This is Paramatma's expectation as compared to his expectation, where do I stand? We get aggrieved so easily. This person did not call me, that person ignored me. This is because our intellect is not equipoised, but rather it is agitated, confused. Hence you keep on getting wounded in your interactions with others. Sometimes you get elated when you are praised. But mind you, even this can cause a problem. Because next time that person does not accord the same appreciation to you, you will be pained and disturbed. Last time तो बहुत तारीफ कर रहा था मेरी, इस बार एक शब्द भी नहीं बोला मेरे लिए. What is this? You will get pained. But for someone who is firmly established in the supreme knowledge, he is unaffected, irrespective of whether he is lauded or condemned. He steers the car of his spiritual life with equal skill in all contradicting situations of the material life. He does not want a clean road. He does not want a curfew in his life. He knows the life is full of busy things, traffic jams, and you have to drive your car through those busy roads. He has that skill. He has that skill. And such a person who is completely unaffected by the behavior of body, mind, and senses, he knows his essence to be Parabrahma. And he dissolves in Parabrahma. And thus attaining this highest supreme knowledge that I am Parabrahma, he attains moksha. These are the distinguishing characteristics of a jnani, the one with a perfectly balanced and equanimous intellect. He is the Sthitaprajna, Paramatma says. Next shloka, 58. Yada samvarade chayang urmonganiva sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya prajna pratisthita. Now Paramatma is giving an example how this Sthitaprajna is behaving in the material world. Samvarate. Samvarate is to withdraw, to wind up. Ayam. Ayam is he. Kurma. Kurma is tortoise. Kachua. Angani. Angani, the limbs of that kachua. Indriyani, the senses. Indriyarthebhya, the sense objects. Shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha. Indriyarthebhya. So Paramatma says, a tortoise withdraws its limbs and head within the shell when faced with the slightest of danger to his life. And this shell is very strong and resilient. Hence, once the limbs are tugged away under the shell, no one can harm the tortoise. The Lord says that the one who is firmly established in the Supreme Brahma is able to withdraw his senses from the sense objects. Just as the tortoise withdraws its limbs. Now the question arises, are you able to withdraw your mind and senses from the sensory world? Krishna says the tortoise can withdraw. Can we withdraw? Can we withdraw our senses from the material world, from the sensory world? This technique of withdrawing mind and senses from the external world, well, this is what we do in meditation. We withdraw our senses and mind from the external world when we sit for meditation, isn't it? So just as tortoise withdraws its limbs, this jnani has the ability to withdraw his limbs. And what are his limbs? His limbs are senses, mind, and intellect. And once these doors to the objective world are closed, doors for the senses, doors for the mind, doors for the intellect are closed for the outside external world, objective world, no more does the mind have any thought or counter thoughts of the drama happening in the external world. Something may be going on in the external world. I'm not concerned. Door is closed. Door is closed. I don't know what is going on there now in the external world. And every time he enters in his meditation, his intellect gets more and more established in the conviction that I am Parabrahma. And everything else, everything outside is untrue. So more time he spends in meditation, more time he withdraws himself from the outside material world. This way, he is withdrawing his mind, senses from the external world and focusing it inside like the tortoise does when he is sensing some danger. One forgets Parabrahma when the mind is filled with ignorance. And when does this ignorance fill up the mind? When the mind gets filled up with attachments. And when and why the mind gets filled with attachments? When you see others as separate from you and seek happiness from them, that creates the attachment in your mind. The jnani, on the other hand, has disconnected, has cut off all relations with the outside world with the sword of vairagya, with the sword of dispassion. Then he withdraws his senses and mind inward, and his intellect makes an unwavering conviction of its real identity. Thus, he becomes firmly established in the Supreme Parabrahma, which he believes he is. The man is steeled, the intellect is steeled, and when he opens his eyes and gets ready to interact with the external world, when the mind is and senses are already still, he can deal with the external world with ease. Now he has understood what this game is all about. How to behave in the external world, how to keep the mind and senses withdrawn and still act in the external world. He has learned this game very well. He has understood this game of life very well. That's why he has no fear whatsoever. He has learned to drive the car and can drive fearlessly anywhere on the busiest of road, even on the most crowded of road. Be it in the Chandani Chowk of, say, Delhi, or in Pune, say, Lakshmi Road, busiest road, or the airport road in Bangalore for that matter, very busy road. In Ishkam Karma Yogi has no problem in playing the game of this life at all. He has understood the game of life. He has understood the game. We have to understand the game of life, and then we also can play it cleverly, skillfully. Another very important message held in this shloka is that every time the devotees, the seeker's intellect start to waver, he should immediately withdraw his senses, his mind and intellect from the external world and move it inwards. In the early days of seeker's life, many times his intellect will become shaky. This happens during meditation also, And also note that another important point, the difference between tortoise and our life. For tortoise, the enemy is outside. He wanted to save himself from the enemy who is outside. But for you and me, our mind is our own enemy. All attachments, all aversions, all desires lurking in our own mind. They are not coming from outside. They are in our own mind. This is your enemy and not anyone else in the outside world like the tortoise. So we have to apply more skill than the tortoise. Tortoise can withdraw its limb and cover it under the shell of his body and can rest. We cannot do that because our enemy is in us only. We have to fight with the enemy who is hiding in us only. So we have to be more and more skillful. Further, Slok 59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya parandaštva nivartate. This is important now. Paramatma says, Vishaya vinivartante. Vinivartante are practiced to be refrained from. Vinivartante. Niraharasya, by negative restrictions. Dehina, there is embodied people like us. Rasavarjam, giving up the taste. Ras is taste. Ras is also the memory of past enjoyment. Nivartate, to stop, to cease from. Shri Krishna says that mere withdrawal of senses from the sense objects is not the mark of a man of steadfast wisdom. You forcefully withdraw your senses from the sense objects and you become a man of steady wisdom. No. Krishna says no, that is not enough. Sense objects cease to exist for him who does not enjoy them with his senses, but the taste, the ras for them may persist somewhere in some corner. When the senses and the sense objects had some meeting earlier in his life, that enjoyment he remembers, and that memory is still there in the heart, somewhere hiding in the corner of heart. उस टाइम ऐसा किया था, बहुत मजा आया था. That maja still remains in the heart. That rus still remains in the heart. Paramatma says, so long as this rus, that memory of meeting of sense and sense objects is still hiding in you, you are not a Sthaprajna. This relish also disappears from a man of stable mind when he realizes the Supreme Parabrahma. So a person is Sthaprajna only when that ras, that taste also vanishes from him. See, the senses feed on the sense objects. Just as you get satisfied on eating food, you get satisfied by the gratification of each of the senses. Eyes are satisfied by feasting on something beautiful sights. Ears get satisfied on hearing some melodious sound. And nose is satisfied on smelling some fragrant aroma. So in a way, nose feeds on fragrance, the eyes feed on sights and colors, the ears feed on sound, and when the senses are deprived of the sense objects of gratification, then this is in a way fasting of sense organs. You are keeping away the sense from the sense objects. So senses are on fast. That means you are forcefully applying fasting on senses. And this is the actual meaning of keeping a fast. A fast does not mean simply not eating. It means fasting of all the sense organs. That is, abstaining from seeking gratification from any sense objects. However, does the mind automatically really get quietened, stilled just by holding the senses back from the sense objects? Sri Krishna says, no. This will not occur as long as the mind has attachments and attractions to the material world, or even the old memories of those sense gratifications are hidden somewhere in the mind and intellect. So you may shut your eyes, but as long as the attraction for the objective world exists in your mind, no sooner the doors of sense organs get reopened, the mind will again run out to the phenomenal world. Can this enchantment for the objective world be ever eliminated from the mind? Is it possible? Sri Krishna says that the person who realizes God, who realizes Parabrahma, who gets firmly established in the Supreme Chaitanya, his mind gets freed of all attractions and the rasa, the taste of past sense gratifications. This is the only way. There is no other way to eradicate the enchantment and the attachment to this phenomenal world. So the Lord is saying that if you want to be free of all attachments, you need to do only one thing, and that is realize the God. Realize the God. Does it do all that? What should be done to realize the God? And should we realize the God first and then becomes the prajna, or vice versa? See, Paramatma says remove the misunderstanding that you will first remove the attachments and then realize the God. This is not going to happen. You can never remove the attachment. You have to first realize the God, and then the attachment will automatically disappear. So if you are sitting with your eyes closed, forcefully suppressing your senses and trying to control your mind, but the moment you remove the restraint on your senses, ताला खोल दिया senses का, before you know it, your mind would have gone, swept away in the pursuit of sensory gratification. In a moment, years of enforced celibacy, brahmacharya, vanishes in thin air. In fact, the more prolonged the sensory deprivation is, the greater is the intensity and the urge for sensory gratification. When the restraint is removed, it comes back with vengeance. बहुत दिन भूखा रहा, let me see now. Sri Krishna says, transcendenting the compulsive need for sensory gratification and eradicate all attachments from your mind is possible only when you realize Supreme Parabrahma, not otherwise. Don't think that you will control your mind, you will remove all attachments, and then you will realize the God. The other way. You realize the God, and then everything will follow automatically. Further, 60, slok number 60. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मनः. Yatat means to try, to keep on trying. Api, in spite of purushasya, of the man, vipaschita, full of discriminating knowledge. Indriyani, senses, we know that. Pramathini is agitating. Haranti is to hijack, take away. Prasabham means forcefully. Man is mind, of course. So Paramatma says, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, powerful senses, as they are, overpower even the determined minds of a keen sadhak who is keenly pursuing the cause of yoga for perfection. An accomplished yogi who is on the path of spirituality in yoga, even senses can hijack his mind. This caution is for the ardent sadhak who has not yet succeeded the nirvikalpa samadhi. Once you attain that nirvikalpa samadhi, where the mind has become thoughtless without any sankalpa, then this is not applicable for them. This is for the people who are still trying for that nirvikalpa samadhi. So the wise person is well aware of how strong and powerful are the senses. They literally overpower the mind. You may think 1,000 times that I will not do this, I will not do this, I will not do this. But the senses make you perform exactly the same action that you say, I will not do. Mark Twain, the famous author, he used to say, who says it is difficult to leave smoking? I have given up smoking hundreds of times. Very easy, I have given up hundreds of times. So you may sit down with eyes shut, forcibly controlling your sensory attractions, but the mind would probably create an imaginary form of the woman in front of your closed eyes. You manage to evade that woman outside. How will you escape this woman lurking in your own mind? Creation of your own mind. Likewise, you may have given in to the fasting. However, such is the strong desire for delicious food that your mind creates images of all sorts of delicacies which lead to even watering of your mouth when you are fasting. An overweight girl weighing around say 125 kg, she was asked to survive on lukewarm water and lime juice for a week to reduce her weight. But mentally, she kept on eating hot chocolate and burgers and pizzas and whatnot. And the parents did not notice much difference in her weight even after a week. How can you lose the weight if you keep on thinking about food all the time? Today, the psychologists have proven that if you think of food all the time, should you even forego eating, you will still not become slim and lose weight. Many people say that they put on the weight merely at the sight of food. This is quite possible. This is quite possible because they are not merely looking at the food, but rather their mind is totally absorbed in it. Now, this is very amazing, truly very amazing. That though the food has not entered their mouth, but the entire process is still taking place as if they have eaten the food. See how dominating are the senses. But such is the power of senses that they will do things you know are not right for you, but they will still do it. The senses literally drag the mind into sensory world. That is why keep watching your mind, your own mind at all times, where it is wandering, where it is going, what is doing. Further, 61, Paramatma says, Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashehi yasyendriyani tasya pradnya pratishtita. Paramatma says, focusing the mind on me after controlling the senses, this karma yogi, this seeker would worship me because without subjugating senses, that means without restraining, controlling senses, mind control is not possible. Mind control is not possible. Now that person is of unshakable wisdom and security who has subdued the senses and become completely absorbed in the Lord, Lord of love, that means Lord Krishna. The subjugation of senses is extremely difficult when we keep ourselves, I must keep telling ourselves, I must subdue my senses, I must subdue my senses, I must deny my body. The path followed by many Jnana yogis, Dhyanis, is the path of Neti Neti. Many of you might have heard Neti Neti. Neti Neti means not this, not this, not this, not this. This is a message from Upanishad, Neti Neti. You are told that you are not body, Neti. You are not the senses, Neti. You are not the mind, Neti. You are not the intellect, Neti. You are not the ego, Neti. Yogis have attained self-realization on meditating and following this mantra of Neti Neti. Can we try it? The actual practice of Neti Neti is based on the quite broad premise of simply taking any thought or object that the mind can conceive and telling yourself Neti Neti. That object is not supreme reality. The object could be anything. A car or your new job title or your cat, whatever. Ultimately, it drives you to the ultimate truth that you are the Parabrahma. Because rest all is Neti Neti. Rest all is Neti Neti. And this route of Neti Neti will finally lead you to the ultimate destination that you are Parabrahma. Because you are not anything else. Neti Neti. One of the practical beauties of Bhagavad Gita is that it is not negative in presentation. Bhagavad Gita. The Gita approach, which we should try to follow, is expressed in these words. Yukta asita matpara, as said in the shloka. Yukta asita matpara. The Lord is in me, and I ask Him, reveal yourself to me. Unite me to yourself. Make me the dust of your lotus feet, O Lord. Yukta asita matpara. This is the positive approach. Let us follow the positive approach of asking the Lord to reveal Himself to us in the depths of our subconscious and loving Him through His presence, through His existence in our parents, in our partner, in our children, in our friends. This discipline of adding to the joy of those around us itself becomes the force power of senses. As our mind gets surrendered to the Lord, we become matpara. That is what Paramatma expects. When we start seeing Lord in everywhere, we become matpara. We become parayan to Paramatma. Man first of all should empty all his kamanas and half knowledge. Half knowledge, by doing this, I will attain Paramatma. That half knowledge is very dangerous sometimes, rather most of the times. Half knowledge about attaining Paramatma should be driven out from the mind. Then only we can realize the God. What is the first condition for complete transformation? Empty. That is the first condition. Once upon a time, a young man, he was looking for a maestro with desire to master the music. He came across with a great music teacher. And then he said to him that you are a great teacher of music, sir. I have keen interest in mastering the music. Actually, music is my life. So I request you to please teach me the music. The music teacher said, when you have so much of desire to learn music from me, I will definitely teach you. Don't worry, I will teach you. Now the young man asked the maestro, what will I have to do for you in return? The teacher said, not much. You have to pay me 10,000 rupees per month. 10,000 rupees per month for learning music? The teacher said, yes, I am an expert and you have to learn from me. He said, that is too much. 10,000 rupees per month is too much and I already know a little bit of music. But okay, I will give you 10,000 as you are asking. To this the teacher replied, if you already know little bit of music, then you will have to give me 20,000 rupees per month. The young man asked in astonishment, what? Master, that's so strange, perhaps beyond my logical comprehension. The price increases with lesser work. The teacher replied, how is the work less? First, I will have to make you forget, that is to unlearn what you have learned. And then I will have to start teaching you anew. To learn something new, something useful and important, first of all it is necessary to empty the mind, to clear it. Otherwise, it will not be able to absorb the new knowledge. This is especially important for the development of creativity and for self-realization. Because it is impossible to put anything else in the already filled container. It is better to have no knowledge than to have incomplete knowledge. To learn, it is always necessary to be empty. To achieve anything in life, whether it is physical or spiritual, first of all, we have to simplify our intentions, our motives, and make our mind empty first. Okay, we'll take two more slokas and then close the discussion for today. But these two slokas are very, very important. Sloka number 62 and 63. These slokas explain how the derailment of our human life starts, from where it starts and where it ends, and which are the in-between stages. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषुपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. And 63. क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमः स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. See, when a striver devotes his time himself, he devotes his heart and soul to the God, his senses are controlled. His rasa, or the sense enjoyment, has also disappeared. But what about those who do not devote themselves to the God? Paramatma is replying to this question in these two shlokas. Those who are devoted to God, their mind have become equipoised. The ras, the release from their past sense and sense object enjoyment has also disappeared. But those who are not devoted to the God, what happens to them? This is what happens. 62 and 63. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रमा स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. Contemplating constantly on the objects of senses. Dhyayato vishayan punsa. Punsa is purush. Dhyayato is to contemplate. Vishay is sense objects. So contemplating constantly on the objects of senses, a man develops attachment for them. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu upajayate. Asakti. He get asakti. He get attachment for those vishay. From attachment springs the desire. Dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama. Asakti will give rise to kamana, desire. And when the kamana is not fulfilled, it originates anger. So dhyayato vishayan punsa sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate. And when krodha happens, what happens? From the krodh arises delusion. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. And when sammoha happens, sammoha smriti vibhrama. Confusion of memory. From which grows the loss of reason, and the loss of reason, discrimination, he goes completely ruined. Because krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibhrama, smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho. His discriminative wisdom, buddhi, intellect is all destroyed, gone. And when the loss of reasoning, loss of viveka buddhi is gone, pranashyanti. He is totally destroyed. He is completely ruined. But how the process has started? Dhyayato vishayan punsa. This is the sequence of events. Contemplation upon sensory objects leads to the development of attachment for those objects, which in turn leads to obtaining those objects. And if you do not attain it, if your desire is not fulfilled, then it leads to arising of anger. It entails that desire is the reason why anger arises. And the one who does not have any desire, why will he have any? Why will he be angry? If no desire, no reason of, no question of getting angry. And the one who does not have any attachment to his mind, why will he have any desire? And the one who does not contemplate on sensory objects for gratification, why will he have any attachment? So this is the interesting sequence. If we understand this sequence, we should know where to stop. Paramatma has said in earlier shloka, Rajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. When it comes here, kill it there only. Remove it right from the root. There only. Mano agatan. When it is entering your mind, kill it then and there only. You now see for ourselves what events lead to the arising of anger in us. You will find that every time you get angry, the underlying cause is non-fulfillment of your desires and expectations. My relatives are not courteous to me. My neighbor did not ask me for a cup of tea. My son does not listen to me. He does not accord me the due respect. My boss does not give me the promotion, though I did so much of work for him. The food in the restaurant was not very good. So the price was very high. The food was not very good. I paid extra money in the restaurant. The list continues on and on and on. All such incidents lead to anger. Why? Because of underlying desire for something or the other which does not get fulfilled. But is it not our own foolishness that we harbor such desires? I am older, so you should touch my feet. I am the head of family, so my children can't do anything without my approval, without my permission. What has that anything to do with your age and your desire and your expectation? Such foolish expectations reflect our foolish thinkings only, nothing else. You think you are great. You are worthy of respect. That is why you are really not worthy of respect. Those who demand respect, they are not worthy of respect. You become great when others see you that way. They accord respect to you on their own, not on demand. You cannot demand respect. It is for others if they want to accord it to you or not. This is a strange but very common disease afflicting all, the desire to be respected. Everybody has the desire that I should be respected, be held in high esteem by one and all. You want everyone to seek your approval and get your consent. But when they don't, then you get upset and angry. Learn this mantra today. Let us all learn this mantra today. Do not expect any respect. Do not expect any respect. Then no one can even disrespect you. You are not expecting respect itself, no? No one can disrespect you. So watch your mind. Know the root cause of all anger is the unfulfillment of desires, which in turn arise due to attachment to sense objects. And this attachment develops because of your strong, continuous, obsessive contemplation upon the sense objects. You are sitting on sofa, people are thinking that you are in some deep thinking, but you are contemplating on something sensory. Is there nothing else to contemplate upon? Let us ask ourselves. Is it necessary to keep on contemplating on the sensory world only? Is there nothing else to contemplate upon? See, we have only one mind. And either the mind focuses on the sensory world or on the divine, either of the two. So it is up to us to make the choice, to keep our mind busy all the time in the sensory world or to employ it on the divine thoughts. If we refer to slok number 63, after the Dhayato Vishanpusa Sangaste Shupujayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamadurojayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Smriti Vibrama Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. From anger arises delusion, from delusion, confusion of memory, and from which grows the loss of reasoning, and with loss of reasoning, that is discrimination, he goes to complete ruin. Anger hypnotizes, it stupefies the intellect. A hypnotist can cast such a spell on his subjects, the person whom he calls on the stage, on his mind, that he can make him believe anything he wants. That is the power of hypnotism. For example, an apple on his hand, the person whom he calls from the audience, he puts an apple on his hand. Under the spell of hypnotist instructions, it will appear as if he is holding a lump of smoldering hot coal. And the person holding that apple, which other people in the audience are seeing that he is holding an apple, but this person is thinking that he is holding hot coal on his palm and he may even get blisters. Hypnotism reveals the inherent power of human mind. The hypnotism proves that the mind is so powerful that it can produce changes in the body as desired, for better or for worse, whatever. If a sick man believes that he will never get better, no matter how far you go to treat him, he will simply not improve, because his mind is believing that he will not improve. Similarly, in spite of having parents, in spite of having siblings, wife, children, everybody in the family, if a person believes that he has no one of his own and that no one loves him, then he can go in deep depression to such a degree that he can even commit suicide. Thus, the power of mind is indeed immense. Mind can play havoc. If we can put it in the right direction, it can get us moksha also. If the direction is wrong, then these are the things that can happen. The Lord is saying that anger deludes the mind, hypnotizes the intellect, and furthermore leads to muddling of all memorized knowledge. You might have learned a lot of things from Gita and everywhere, but anger makes you forget all that. Very unfortunate. All the knowledge that you have acquired earlier simply vanishes from your memory. All that knowledge evaporates in the fire of anger. This is because the knowledge was never a part of your own experience. It was just that you had heard or intellectually gathered from somewhere else. That is why meditation is important. Meditation makes you experience the knowledge that you have learned. Merely reading or listening does not help, but meditation does help in getting that knowledge deep inside you, which makes you as if you have experienced it yourself. So when intellect gets deluded and clouded by the anger, all that knowledge goes in thin air. And once the memory of that assimilated knowledge is also gone, then that is the final nail in the coffin box of that intellect. It gets completely destroyed. And the one whose intellect is shattered, he falls down from his sadhana, his spiritual path. Pranashyati. What this also means is that this entire sequence of events, right from Dhyato Vishan Pusa Sangasteshu Pujayate, from contemplation of sense objects to ultimately falling down from the path of spirituality, can and does happen to the spiritual aspirants. We are on that path and we should guard ourselves against this kind of fall. That's why these two shlokas are extremely important. This happens to the spiritual seekers as well as, and it is not an affliction limited only to the worldly beings. It happens to highly accomplished people also. That is why be watchful of your mind. Be ever watchful. The moment you catch it contemplating on sensory objects, stop it then and there only immediately. Or else it will lead to the inevitable cascade of attachments, desires, anger, clouding of intellect, loss of all accumulated knowledge, destruction of intellect, and falling down from the spiritual path. Starts from here. Dhyato vishan pusa sangasteshu pujayate, sangat sanjayate kamak kamat krodho vijayate. Krodhat bhavati sammoha sammohat prativya brahma, prativramshat buddhinasho, buddhinasha pranashyati, satyanash pranashyati. So once you board this train in Dhyato vishan pusa, this in between stations you cannot avoid. And you reach the station, ultimate station of pranashyati, falling down from the path of spirituality. That's why these two shlokas are extremely important. We should read loudly these two shlokas every day. Mahatma Gandhi, though I'm not a very big fan of Mahatma Gandhi, but he has written in his Charitra that these two shlokas have changed his life. Every time he remembers these two shlokas, anything bad coming to mind, he remembers these two shlokas. That is what he has written. So if you want to learn Gita and bring it to our day-to-day life, these are the things which we should pick up from Gita. These are the jewels from Gita. We should learn by heart these two shlokas and chant this every day, day in and day out, loudly, clearly, so that every word enters our mind and intellect so well, so deep, that it becomes our nature not to Dhyato Vishan Pusa. We should become so clear in our mind that Dhyato Vishan Pusa is the killer. If we kill the killer, then we will win the battle. But if we allow the killer to enter here, then things are out of control for us also. So I think we should stop here. And now the forum is open for all of you to ask your questions. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you, Bhaiya,
Thank you.
for the insightful interpretation. Your explanation deepened our understanding and enriched this session. I believe no doubts remaining as Bhaiya explained everything so clearly. However, if anyone still has any questions or clarifications, please feel free to raise your
Yeah,
hand.
you're most welcome to raise your questions. Sorry, there was some 10 minutes delay in starting because of some technical hitch here and there. But we are still well within the time. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, Bhaiya. Prior that, I want to just announce again about our Bano Geeta Sevi program held today at night 8:30 on Zoom session in Hindi. And participate in the Shadvinshati Geeta Parayan for 15 days on the occasion of Geeta Jayanti Mahotsav, online and offline both available. Online every day till 12th December at 6:30 morning and offline till 11th December. For details about Parayan events, visit our portal and join the recitation. Kindly circulate the information at the earliest and embracing the divine wisdom of the Gita while contributing the collective spiritual growth and service. Now, you can take doubts, Bhaiya. Praniti ji.
हाँ, नमस्कार.
Namaskar.
My question is about Peter. What is Peter? Like now Krishna says ki soul travels from birth to birth, body perishes, and once after death he enters into another body and he continues his journey as per whatever karma he has done in this and whatever his prarabdha is. And then why we worship Pitar, or why we, as Arjuna says, patanti pitaro yesha lupta pindodaka kriyaha. So if they have gone further on the journey, why should we worry about Pitar, or aren't these two concepts contradictory?
Yeah. See, Pitar word is used by Arjuna. Krishna has not said, because from Gita what we learn is we are not body, we are soul, isn't it?
Yes.
This is what we learn. So from that point of view, by remembering our Pitar, that means we are remembering their soul, not their bodies. So whatever Shraddha we perform, we should perform Shraddha for the soul, not for the bodies.
What I mean, whenever there is some problem in the family or something, it is said ki Pitar dosh hai, Pitar dosh ahe. So why it is said? Because they have completed this journey and they have gone further. So why we feel worried, or is concept in our community?
It depends how much you believe on that. Because these Pitru dosh are there in the horoscope of many people, and that's why many people go to Trambakeshwar for doing that Nag Narayan Bali. They say that the Pitru dosh can be removed from the horoscope if you go there and perform that Nag Narayan Bali puja at Trambakeshwar. Now it is for all of us to really understand whether how much we should believe all this. By doing some puja at Trambakeshwar and by paying some 1,000 rupees to that Pandit, are we really going to remove that dosh from somebody's karma which he has committed in his past lives? It's not possible. There is a way of cleansing the samskar, and definitely not paying 1,000 rupees to somebody is the way. Cleansing the samskars can be done by doing some spiritual sadhana. And that is what we learn from Gita. That for to clean our karmas, to clean our samskar, what we need to do is clean our karmas. And if you cannot clean from past, at least clean from now, and then get detached. So much detached that your past karma also get cleansed. So this Pitar, Shraddha, all these things are conceptually okay because our forefathers have taught us this. So we should believe this, but to a limited extent. To a limited extent.
Because it is said if you do some wrong. Sorry.
When we say that the man has died and he occupies another body, what happens is the gross body is burned down already in the crematorium, isn't it? Nothing is remaining on the body. So what goes is the Sukshma Sharir, the subtle body, that goes to the next life. And that subtle body is the repository of all our past sanskars. So if you are doing any...
Even it is said that if we perform some sins or something bad happens from our hands, then our Pitar are troubled. And if we do some good deeds or some really good work, so they get advantage. That is also said. So
no, that is what Arjuna has said, that if we do not perform puja and lupta pindodaka kriyaha, doshairite kulagnana varna sankara karakaihi, all that, in the first adhyaya of Gita, Arjuna has counted number of reasons as to how our Pitar will also get into trouble if we do some papa karma in this life. If we kill our near ones and dear ones, then our pitar will fall down from their position because nobody will be there to perform lupta pindodaka kriya. Udak, water, nobody will give them. Food, nobody will give them. And then they will fall down from their place. This was Arjuna's logic. Krishna has not said this.
Okay.
Krishna has not said this. So what Arjuna has said is up to him. What we are learning Gita is to learn what Krishna is saying, not what Arjuna is saying. Krishna is trying to remove Arjuna's misunderstandings. So that's why we should focus ourselves more and more on Krishna's messages rather than going into the trap of Arjuna's questions.
Jai Shri Krishna. Dhanyavad.
Bhushan ji, Bhushan Pandit ji. Bhaiya, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Sir, Guruji, I have a question. Slok number 58. How can a person live just like the tortoise? His sense organs in the running world, all sense organs are essential for life, and sense organ itself for the liveliness of person. Then how can be practical possible to do like a kurma?
Yeah, see, don't take the worldly meaning of this, that you should withdraw your senses from the world. That means you should close your eyes. If you walk on the road with your eyes closed, you will hit somebody or you will get hit by somebody else. You may fall down, isn't it?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the idea is not that you close your eyes or ears or anything. The idea is whatever you see in the material world, let it not affect the peace of your mind. What happens is, we see something, if we like it, we become happy. If we don't like it, we become unhappy. This bond has to be broken.
Yeah.
If we are able to break that bond, then we have detached our mind from the material world. Then we are a kurma. Then we are living like a kurma. That is what is expected from expected by Krishna. That when your senses are meeting with the sense objects in the material world, the reaction of sense and sense objects meeting should not affect your antakaran. If you start getting disturbed by the meeting of sense and sense objects, you will waste your life only in the reactions. Pleasure, pain, happy, unhappy, good, bad, favorable, unfavorable. We'll keep dancing to the tunes of sense and sense objects and we'll lose our main objective of life. So, by living like a kurma, the expectation is only that.
Yeah.
We cannot stop using our senses. Eyes are there, eyes will continue to see. Ears are there, ears will continue to hear. Isn't it?
Definitely.
But between a jnani and an ordinary person like us is that he also sees what we see, but he does not get disturbed. We get disturbed. We like or we dislike. He has given up that likes and dislikes. So that is what is expected by Lord. When he gives the example of Kurmangani or Sarvasha, that is the expectation.
Yes. And
Bhaiya, please unmute yourself, Bhaiya. Please unmute yourself.
Guruji, second question is Shlok number 52. 52, last para. Shrotavyasya Shrutasya. What is the meaning of this?
That means whatever you have heard and whatever you will hear.
Yeah.
Shrotavyasya Shrutasya. You will get.
Yes.
You will get dispassioned with all that what you have heard and all that what you are going to hear about this sakam karma. That means Prithvi Pratipannate, because in Vedas, in our scriptures, lot of things have been described as about sakam karma. If you do this, you will get this. You do that, you will get that. So Paramatma is saying these confusing statements made in our scriptures, what you have heard so far, what you will hear in future, you will get dispassioned with all those. Once your intellect is clear and has crossed all these confusions of mind. So Shruta-Vyasa Shruta-Sacha, what has been heard and what will be heard in future also.
त्रिचरणात् यदा ते मोह कलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यक्ति तरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम्. And I could not get the fourth charan. Shruta-Vyasa. How can relate this charan with all the charans?
So that is what Paramatma is saying, that whatever yadate moha kalilam. See why our buddhi gets kalil is the mud. Our intellect gets stuck in the mud. Mud of what? Mud of kamanas, mud of desires. But once our buddhi is clear of all that, Vyatita Rishyati, it crosses over all that. And then we become dispassionate about all kamanas, about all sakam karmas, what have been heard and what will be heard in future. The buddhi will, Vyatita Rishyati will cross over all that. Whatever moha, rupi, kichad, the mud in which your buddhi was stuck, once the intellect is clear and it has crossed over you that moha kalilam, then nothing can stop you. Then you will become nirvedam. That means you will become dispassionate with all the sakam karmas about what you have heard and what you will hear.
Acha. Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
Okay. Thank you.
Indira ji?
Yeah, Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
I've been following your the talks the last few weeks quite religiously, and there are a lot of questions, but don't know, whether how to analyze them. I was wondering, when you talked about the sattvic, the rajasic, and the tamasic, sometimes when I ponder these, there seems to be a fudging or a overlap between the tamasic and the jnani. I've not made myself ponder them all the way through, but there seems to be a little fudging between the tamasic and the jnani, when I listen to the discourses and read about it.
So there is no relation between tamasic and jnani. They are miles, they're poles apart, tamasic and jnani.
I understand, but when you say that you just have to be detached and dispassionate about it, when you talk about the tamasic, they also out of ignorance they are like that, but sometimes I feel that there's a little fudging between the two, overlap between
tamasic people. They deliberately want to disrespect the scriptures. If scriptures have described something to be done like this, they will purposely do exactly opposite of it.
Okay.
They will purposely do opposite of it.
Okay.
As I described many times, that if the scriptures say that you should perform puja by wearing the pita vastra, yellow vastra, they will say, I will wear black. I will wear black. Let me see what happens. So they will purposely try to disrespect the scriptures, tamasi people. And to have better understanding of tamasi, rajasi and sattvic, Gunatraya Vibhag, 14th Adhyay or 17th Adhyay, Shraddhatraya Vibhag, these are the two ideal examples. Two ideal Adhyayas of Bhagavad-Gītā, which explain at length about the characteristics of Sattva, Rajo, Tamo, all the three people. Even the eating habits of them have been explained in 17th Adhyay. What kind of food is liked by Sattvic people, what is liked by Rajasi and Tamasi. Their nature, their eating habits, their living habits, their yajna, dana, tapa, what kind of dana, tapa they perform, Sattvic, Rajasi and Tamasi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you. Okay.
Anita ji?
Jai Shri Krishna Bhaiya. Thank you so much for such beautiful vivations every time. I just wanted to know, is it good to have emotions? Like you said, you are sensitive to people around you, your maid, your Mali Bhaiya and all those things. Is it good to have emotions, being sensitive to others' pains and this thing?
Emotions are good, but attachments are not good. See, emotions are good. Like Krishna had good emotions. He loved Radha, he loved Gopi, he loved his shepherd boys, he loved Sudama, he loved his mother Yashoda. He was an ideal son. He was an ideal lover of Radha. He was an ideal friend of Sudama. Everybody ideal because of emotions, no?
Yeah, yeah.
But he had no attachment. Once he left Vrindavan, he never went back to Vrindavan again.
Yeah, yes.
When he left Radha, he never went back to meet Radha again.
Yeah.
So if you are there with full emotions and with full kartavya karma, that prescribed duty what you are supposed to perform for them. But once you are out of it, you don't keep that thing lingering in your mind. Krishna is the person who has taught us, live in the present, not in the past, not in the future. Live the present.
Right, sir. Absolutely right. I get it, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no more doubts, means no more hand raise.
Okay.
Shall we conclude the session?
Yeah.
Bhaiya?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Next
you,
week will be the end of this adhyay.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for addressing all our doubts.
Thank you.
To conclude the session, let us offer our gratitude and seek divine blessings through prayer. I invite Sangeeta Agrawal ji, a resident of Noida, is a retired professional with a BTech degree. She actively contributes to Geeta Pariwar by providing services as group coordinator and technical support. She joined Geeta Pariwar in June 2024 and has been a consistent source of support and inspiration through her selfless service. Didi will lead us as we pray for peace, wisdom, and spiritual growth. Jai Shri Krishna, Didi.
जय श्री कृष्ण दीदी। जो योगेशं सच्चिदानंद वासुदेवं व्रजं प्रियं धर्म संस्थापकं वीरं कृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्री कृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। श्री कृष्णार्पणमस्तु। जय श्री कृष्ण सभी।
Thank you, Didi. Thank you for your soothing prayer. I want to thank our technical department, Vivechan team, Geeta Pariwar, and all participants for your support and active involvement. And I also request all the participants to kindly stay back for the recitation of Hanuman Chalisa.
गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी बरन रघुबर विमल जसु जो दायक फलचारी बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिंहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानू प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाहि दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै, अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई, संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा, जो सुमिरई हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई, जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय।